The United States and Indonesia have finalised a trade deal. The two sides signed a reciprocal trade agreement in Washington after months of talks. Under the agreement, Indonesian goods entering the US will now face a 19% tariff. That's a sharp decrease from the previously imposed 32%. Well, the agreement signed during Indonesian President Subianto's Washington visit will come into force in the next 90 days, after both sides complete legal procedures. Both countries say the deal is meant to strengthen trade and investment ties.
Today, this morning, the president directly signed a reciprocal trade agreement titled Toward a New Golden Age for the US-Indonesia Alliance, which was signed jointly by President Prabowo and President Donald Trump. The bilateral meeting between the two leaders lasted quite a long time, 30 minutes after this morning's Board of Peace event.
Ditandatangani secara bersama.
Under the deal, Jakarta says some Indonesian exports like coffee, cocoa and rubber will get tariff-free entry into the US, with more products like palm oil under consideration. Meanwhile, Indonesia will open its markets wider for American products. Trade barriers on US imports, including agriculture, healthcare, seafood, technology and automobile industry goods, will be eased. Jakarta will also liberalize rules that force foreign firms to use only local materials for production. Indonesia has also committed to $33 billion in purchases from the US. These purchases would include energy supplies, farm products and aviation goods, including Boeing aircraft. Indonesia will also help US firms develop rare earths infrastructure, supporting Washington's access to critical minerals.
Indonesia and the United States have agreed to strengthen economic cooperation and promote economic growth, and this is one of the agreements that formed the Council of Trade and Investment.
Alongside the trade pact, Indonesian and US companies signed 11 business agreements in Washington. The deals were signed at a dinner hosted by the US Chamber of Commerce ahead of the Trump-Subianto meeting. Well, these partnerships cover mining, energy, agribusiness, textiles, furniture and technology. There are also deals in critical minerals, oil field extraction and semiconductors. Some of these agreements are designed to support Indonesia's push to modernize its industries. Jakarta says these business deals will help narrow its trade surplus with the United States.
The purpose and vision of the agreement is to achieve shared economic prosperity, a strong supply base, and respect for the sovereignty of each country. So I'd like to emphasize that respect for the sovereignty of each country is part of the signed agreement.
Indonesia's leadership has described the deal as balanced and beneficial for both sides. Jakarta says it protects national interests while opening more space for trade and investment. Meanwhile, US officials say the agreement will lead to two-way trade, more investment, and deeper economic ties between the two democracies. Both countries also plan to set up a joint council on trade and investment to manage future issues. Well, the deal comes as the US pushes a tougher trade policy globally while continuing to sign new agreements with partners. The rejig in US trade policies followed the country's record trade deficit last year, which the US importing more than it exported. So, for Indonesia, this deal avoids steeper tariffs and secures access to the US market. And for the US, it locks in major purchases and eases trade barriers for American products.
The streets roared her name. Supporters climbed rooftops. History seemed ready to repeat itself. Then it happened. A flash. A burst. Panic swallowing cheers. In seconds, Benazir Bhutto was gone. Not voted out, not defeated, but assassinated. Catch the full story on the assassination at these times, only on Firstpost.